Alright, welcome, episode 15 now. Still chipping away. In terms of a recap of what we've done, so last episode we fixed that super shot scoring bug that I had, and now scoring I have like extra variables for super shot, dedicated to super shot, and then also made it so that for super shots, every four super shots you get an extra life. So I've got this whole like mechanic going on about an ability for players to gain lives. So we've done that. Implemented camera kick as well. So inside game feel, we scroll all the way down. Actually, where is it? Apply all camera feel. So we've done the screen shake. We've done the camera drift, which is the left-right movement, and we've done camera kick, which is the every time the ball's hit, kick the camera up. So let's see the game working. No, I feel a bit quiet today. I feel a bit on edge. Alright, let's wake up. So this is what we got so far. You can see the camera moves, camera shakes, and it kicks as well. I keep getting super shots whenever I don't want to. So it should kick in the direction of where you hit it as well. And that actually feels much better than so before, when I first implemented it, a camera kick, I just made it simply kick upwards anytime you hit the ball, and I didn't like how it felt. It felt a bit inorganic, so I implemented a way where it actually takes in the aim direction into account and then kicks in that direction, or like it kicks in the middle direction of where the ball direction is and where the aim direction is, and now when you hit the ball it actually feels much more natural, the camera kick. Camera shake feels good as well. I'm not sure about camera drift, but yeah, like, I'm I'm liking how it's like coming all together, to be honest. It's starting to feel much more weighty. I did show before, last episode I showed this, but I'll show it again. So if you go to camera feel, let's toggle everything off, yeah, and play that. Feels like a much different game. It feels so flat. So we still got the hit stop still happens, but there's no screen movement, no screen shake, no camera kick. Yeah, it just doesn't feel the same. It feels too floaty. It just feels flat. And then if we toggle it on and do that, it feels much more substantial. Everything feels much more substantial. So that's what we got. Just a quick note, like I had a lot of ideas of like what I want this game to be, and stuff to incorporate, and I'm gonna have multiple levels and a storyline, and maybe like some 3D element I'm gonna add to it. And then I realized like I feel like my scope, I kind of underestimated the scope, and the scope's getting too large. So like currently, anytime I'm early on in development, I could spend like one day implementing like three features, and now it's like it takes me a whole day to just implement one because I have so many scripts to deal with and so many things to worry about and so many things to remember. And then even still, I'll forget something like, oh, I forgot to implement scoring for Super Shot and stuff like that. So I'm gonna like reel back in my scope and try to just make a simple arcade game, make it endless if I have time, because I don't want to be spending 8, 9, 12 months on this game. I think it would be ridiculous, to be honest. And this is just like a more than anything. It's like a learning exercise for me. So I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, basically. So that's like with scope and stuff. So because there was a lot of stuff in terms of scope that I didn't explain or I didn't reveal because I thought, oh, once I get to it, I'll just add on top of that, and I'll just add on top of that, and then now I'm realizing, oh, it's the scope's a bit too much for my first game basically. So I'm gonna reel it back in. It's still gonna be this arcadey type of game, and I'm gonna try and make it feel as good as possible. So in terms of next steps, I only got one more next step, and that is, oh, so in terms of next steps, we've got apply camera effects to HUD. So the same camera effects I've got, let's shrink that. I think it's Control T, yeah. The same camera effects I've got for the game field, where the play field moves, the camera drifts and rotates. Then we got a kick and a shake. So that's all like camera feel. That's all game feel in terms of inside the game. Now I want to incorporate some type of movement and feeling for the HUD as well. So HUD will never have screen shake because it will just, I always want it to be readable. But I do think about stuff like some type of movement and stuff. And also, like, I feel like the camera drift for the game field is a bit annoying and I don't like it. But if I turn off camera drift for the game field and just apply it to the HUD, I feel like that would be much better. So the game would have screen shake and would have a camera kick, and the HUD will have a camera drift, and that might be a better pairing actually. So that's what I want to do. I also want to do something where, so right now it kicks upwards anytime you hit the ball. I want to do something where, so it kicks very like, for it offsets the camera immediately and then slowly loops back. I want to incorporate something where as you charge, the camera slowly lurps downwards. So it wouldn't be like camera kick where you hit it and instantly it goes up and then lurps back. I want it to just slowly lurp backwards, like kind of like winding up and then release. You know what I mean? So let's type this game feel slow camera sings on charge. I'm gonna try do both of them. I'm gonna first do the HUD. So let's put that first because I want to move on from game feel for now. So I'm gonna first do the HUD thing, apply camera drift to HUD, and then if I am able to sync the camera on charge, I'll try to do that as well. So let me get on with doing that. Alright, so that is done, and that took a lot of effort. So much effort, in fact. I wasn't expecting that. So the plan, you probably remember, was to apply camera effects to the HUD and apply a sync on charge to the game feel as well. Didn't manage to do that second one because this camera drift thing I got going on required so much effort. And like I said before, is the bigger my project grows, I mean, like just, putting something in or trying to implement something, it takes so much brain power and reconfiguring and architectural changes that I just spend the whole day and I'm just getting knackered at the end of the day. So this is actually probably going to be a short devlog. And I'm probably not going to have one tomorrow because I'm going to take a rest for tomorrow because I feel like I've done a lot. But anyways, let me get on to my implementation. So I was developing it. I should have really stopped in between to explain, but nonetheless, it's all done now. I might as well explain it all. I created, so just like I had, where is it? I had I had a method called calculate camera drift, right? And that was all part of a thing. Where is it being called? Is it in process? I've got apply all camera fill, apply HUD fill, right? Apply all camera fill. It should be down here. Apply all camera fill, and inside there, if camera kick is enabled, then run that method calculate camera kick. So I thought I'd create apply HUD fill. Right. I only ever plan to have HUD drift. I don't want a kick or anything else like a sync or whatever. So apply HUD fill, calculate HUD drift. Same way I had calculate camera drift. I've got calculate HUD drift, which is its own method. Was playing around, I just copied and pasted. I realized that the code for calculating drift is exactly the same. So I was copied that calculate camera drift method into this calculate HUD drift, tweak some stuff, try to poke around, see what I could do. Then I realized, all right, they're basically the same. I need to make a unified generic method just called calculate drift and plug in all my variables there. So yeah, so I created a generic method called calculate drift, and that way calculate HUD drift and calculate camera drift are both calling that method with its own sets of variables. So then I had to create the generic method calculate drift. Let's go to that, and it should be somewhere here. There we go. And it takes a bunch of arguments. I had to create a drift, so I plugged it into here. Had to like sort of make all the values generic. Didn't realize I have too many variables being passed in, and it just felt like a lot. So I created something called drift state. So if you go drift state, I think it's its own class if I remember correctly up here. We've got, yeah, drift state, camera drift state equals new, drift state, HUD drift state equals new. So creating its own drift state. And where is the drift state? There we go. So drift state, previous pedal X has previous pedal X, current offset, current rotation. The reason why I had to create a class is because certain values, so these other like tunable values were fine, but these values here, they had to be stored and they had to survive between frames, and they had to be separate as well. I couldn't just use one variable previous pedal X for both of them, because what I was running into an issue where I was using the same previous pedal X, and what was happening was if I kept camera drift on, HUD drift wasn't happening. But if I turned camera drift off, HUD drift would happen. So I had to separate them basically, and then these had to survive between frames. So I had to set it into its own class. Well, hopefully that makes sense. I don't think I've finished explaining. Calculate HUD drift, apply HUD fill, calculate drift. So have its on state, delta, and all of these generic values that I can pass in. And everything's the same. I've actually got added one more thing, if I can find it. Rotation direction, and it should be offset direction as well. So that way, because the way it works is if I negate drift strength here, or negate drift strength here, what happens is for camera it will shift right, but for HUD it would shift left. So because they were essentially opposite, so I couldn't pass it the same value. So I pass it a custom variable called rotation direction and offset direction. That way, inside my calculate HUD drift, I'd give it the negative, and inside my I'd make this negative one, and inside my calculate camera drift, I'd make that positive one. So that way I could play around with direction easily. And yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, it was so long. My game feels getting so much larger. It required so much it was just um one thing I wanted to implement. And yeah, it took so long, so oh, what happened there? Did it not come in? Here we go. So yeah, I was gonna do apply camera effects to HUD. I thought that'd be easy to tick that off. And then to the camera syncing, but you know what? I think I'm gonna leave camera syncing for now. I can get to that at some stage. I'm not gonna do that next. That's all done. Let me show you what my game looks like right now. So if I show you, now we got all these toggles, and we got these tunable values over here. And if I play, here we go. So that way I can just, so you can see that the game field is shifting, the camera shifting, but also the HUD is shifting as well. For some reason the rotation feels like slightly much more faster for the HUD. But let's say, just to prove it works, if I get rid of camera drift and then enable it, so that means everything should move. Sorry, that means the HUD should just drift with the paddle movement, and in terms of kick and like screen shake, that will happen to the camera. So yeah, this is what it looks like, and honestly, if I'm being completely honest, it feels like shit. I don't like the way it feels. I like the screen shake, I like the hit, I like the hit stop, I like the camera kick, but the camera movement, sorry, the camera drift and the HUD drift, to me just doesn't, there's something off about it. I don't know if I don't like it, or I don't know if I just want to get rid of it altogether, or if I need to tune the values. My hunch is that the values need to be tuned over here. But I've sunk so much work into it, I'm not gonna just get rid of it. I might as well just leave it in. And then later on, like I said, once I start, applying visuals and visual effects and sound effects, and my game starts coming together nicely, then I can go into game feel file, and the best thing about these is I can just tune them on the fly as well. So it's not the end of the world basically. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I'm not going to do camera sync. I'm going to leave that. I'll do that at some stage later, but for now, I feel like I've done a lot in game feel. Game feel was one of the smallest files when obviously when I made it, it was one of the smallest files, but initially I didn't have much in there. And now it's just grown to this like monster, absolute behemoth. Almost 500 lines of code. So yeah, it's coming together good. but I need to move on from game feel. I've lived in this world for too long. So, in terms of like next things, that's gonna be the end of the devlog. Shift on camera paddle movement and strike, so that's done. So next, not gonna do a devlog tomorrow. I'll do one the day after that probably, or after that, depending on like how long it takes to film. But I want to add targets and power-ups to the game, and I'm not even sure how I would do that. But right now, in terms of my game, it's good, but there's nothing to do. Your whole thing is just get a high score and keep the ball up. So I need to actually like have like okay, what's the whole point of aiming? You know what I mean? So technically, a player could just decide. Technically, a player could just decide, all right, let me just not move the paddle, not aim anywhere, and then that's it. Like I'm good. So I need to have like power-ups and like obstacles and stuff to target and things to break, stuff like that. That's going to be the next step, and that's obviously going to have multiple sub-steps of okay, I have this part and I have this part. So, but I'll figure out when I get there. That's going to be the end of the devlog today. I only implemented one thing, but it took a lot out of me, and I feel like that's enough. So, quick recap. Extrapolated the drift method into a generic drift, created a state for things that should survive between frames, and then use that generic drift method inside game fill to make HUD drift as well as camera. And now I'm happy. So yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, see you guys later.